breaking news. Ken.Ofori Atta, of course, arrested no. Send a kind report say edema. Na Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayini Akuritinga, sign so at the to say yes. Ken.Ofori Atta, former finance minister in the Akufo-Addo administration, has been detained. Nemum, enye ni na say the visa I spy, and I say it has to do with immigration issues. Say a different reason altogether. Could it be say the extradition requester Dr. Dominic Ayini Akuritinga at the US on investigative authorities? Ain't anami a chicken for Atta, and I say saying ana issue ni nate. Island TV Plus. Send your first time waje bra ho no be like video no share na wa subscribe na afoforo so enye bi ahwe. Dr. Dominic Ayini Akuritinga anope ya ana wa breaki news no e de ache Ghana fo nyina se Ken.Ofori Atta ya che no detain no in Virginia detention center for Carolina na say Caroline na ehono mo no na Dr. Dominic Ayini Akuritinga eme ate say ewu say ya che no de na emumu no enye because say ne visa I spy. Of course ye nyina ya kan na ye hu say ne lawyers no ema ate say oh issues with ne legal stay in the US anti anama ya detain no but Dr. Dominic Ayini Akuritinga Ghana for it is as a result of visa revocation. The visa no ya revoke say ne ya wode ko senka empanifo ehwe na wono mo man legal stay wo US abrochima mu no woni wo mo matena abrochima mu di nkomo kakra on pa che say okọ America first time ne wo mo ye say as visitor and I say be for medical treatment here. Or 6 months. 6 months, no. This is from somebody staying in US. And Emma this information yet to be verified. But say 6 months, you know, be drew. Now you have to make another request. Say whether it will be extended. And answer will not be extended. So failure to extend it, no. Bit me am why illegal because emre dem a ono aso na Dr. Dominic Ayini Ghana for yate ase say ya revoke Ofori Atta ne visa enunti na ama ya detain no because the moment you be revoke the detain means that some criminality involved. In fact me pese me nom fufu ni nyina ho nkwan na Dr. Dominic Ayini anso ha osama Ghana for say ne dwumadi a wudie as Attorney General no de wudi na knowledge prosecute or effect bra or discontinue some cases the previous Attorney General now or pursue no and not because of any political affiliations they no as a result of merit case no na wudi actually before kra obey Attorney General enti enye se obey Attorney General no mum ana sa people we are omoye politically exposed, especially within the NDC. 80 and a man di you may be at say oh case in omoye NDC for NDC for their me and discard or case na yam pursue MPP for. In fact, momenti Dr. Dominic Ayini Akuritinga and opay in 70 be okay.
We putting out the objective facts. So for instance, if I make available to you now the GRA letter confirming the 22 million. And I tell you that I'm going to collect it because that is my duty to make sure that, you know, there's accountability. So, you know, it should not be seen as a threat to the company. All right. I can take civil action to collect it. I can also decide to prosecute them for criminal, misconduct. Right. Yes.
So now we understand that how you contribute to the economy.
Apart from that, we are doing offshore investigations. So I have foreign asset recovery companies, okay, or personnel that are helping me, experts that are helping me to trace assets abroad.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are doing that.
And you do them simultaneously with your investigations?
We are doing them simultaneously with our investigations.
Great. So part of what I understand from you is that, for example, when we mentioned the Gold Board for Praise,
yes,
that was a legislation that you midwifed.
That is so.
To assist them to be able to be where they are. So sometimes it's not direct, as in the contribution. But that sounds like a direct contribution.
Well, so it will. You cannot. If the law is operationalized, efficiently and effectively, okay, then it makes a direct contribution.
That's right.
But our contribution is to fashion the law in a way that will make it work and produce benefits for the people of the country.
And as we get ready to get into some detail in oral, if you're just joining us, this is the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana, who is gladly, indulging us because his attitude also has been that he wants to be open and frank and accountable to the people of the Republic. Dominic Akuritinga Ayine, he's answering some of your questions. And I realize that as we put out the flyer, many of you, your concerns had to do with oral. There is more to what they have to do than oral, but we'll take some time on oral. Critics say that you are aggressively pursuing opponents to recover loot, while at the same time, you are freeing individuals who are associated with the NDC. Do you regret your early decisions involving, nolly prosequi filings and the famous 60% plea bargains?
No, I don't. And something, you've known me for many years. If I don't believe in something, I wouldn't do it. And when I came into office, I did an objective professional assessment of all the pending cases. And remember, I keep reminding people that I was involved on the other side as defense attorney, right? If I didn't believe in the innocence of my clients, I would not, in some cases, I would not have, participated in, as part of their defense team, okay? So I had an insider view of most of the things that happened. So, for instance, you take, Sagleme, okay? Sagleme, by all standards, was poorly investigated, all right? And the charges were poorly thought through. I'm saying this with all due respect to the people who drafted the charges, to the, state attorneys who were involved. I believe in their professionalism and I respect, their knowledge of criminal law a lot, all right? In fact, some of them are better than I am when it comes to criminal law. But I did an objective assessment. And so I give the Sagleme case as an example. Now, if you look at the case, they were talking about $200 million, all right, of funds, that were misused or lost to the state as a result of the actions of the persons who were charged, including my then client, Collins Dowda, all right? Well, we did an assessment of it. Collins Dowda was charged with causing financial loss to the tune of $200 million. But Collins Dowda was in the ministry for a very short period. At the time that he was leaving, only $94 million had been expended. Okay, so, something tell me, by what stretch of imagination can you charge a person like that with, with causing financial loss to the tune of $200 million, except to say that maybe his actions that, he took in office triggered the entire loss, all right? If you cannot directly attribute the entire loss to him, there was no point charging him with causing financial loss to the tune of $200 million. But that wasn't even, as bad as saying that, he issued false certificates, okay? A minister does not issue IPCs, interim payment certificates, all right? The interim payment certificates are, issued by the consultants who go to the ground, assess the work done, all right, value it, and they say, look, this is how much, the state ought to pay to this person. Yeah, and then they are the ones who then write to the minister, and the minister just writes to Minister of Finance to say that, look, this IPC has been presented, please go ahead and pay. So unless they are saying that the minister ought not to have taken the advice of the consultants, okay, then you cannot attribute the false character of the IPCs, all right, to the minister, okay? So I did an objective assessment of
the minister
all
has supervision.
Yeah, you have ministerial responsibility, right, for your sector.
That's right.
Right. But when it comes to, technical matters, such as, a construction project, you have technical people working on and advising the minister. So I don't know by what means a minister is going to be able to say that this IPC ought not to be paid because it is false. I mean, that it does not reflect what is on the ground. When you have AESL, a government, a designated or a entity that does the professional work of, consulting on government construction
Ultimate
projects.
Responsibility, the buck stops with you. If you have to do due diligence to ensure that some wrong does not occasion us loss, and you fail, you should take the responsibility for it.
Well, I do concede that you should take responsibility for it, all right? But, criminal liability is specific. I mean, can you actually say that the intent is attributable to the minister when you say that the certificate is false, right? What about the person who issued the certificate? Why were they not being prosecuted, as a result of, the determination by the then Attorney General that these certificates were false, all right? So the point I'm making is that I did an objective assessment of all these cases. And of course, if you take, Cocoa Board, the Opuni trial, as a lawyer.
Now, on his presentation, during his presentation, Omagana for say there are some high-profile cases we issue a knowledge process. It is a more chart as well. Dr. Kominadu for Eddie and other personalities. And Saglemi, the announcement in a Ekahubia, just say what is continue. Was also in his objective analysis. He doesn't see the reason to continue a case. So, because also say, Ordinary Equanimua, only say the courts, the Supreme Court would eventually rule against the nation. Engineer who here say, O my neighbor say Sika, now pursue cases what is continue. A brow effect, the knowledge prosequi term in law. Na eno ebeboa asebi omano sikasembi ene resources. Island TV Plus. Waje bra wati no we like video no share. Na wa subscribe na for so enya videos ne bi ahwe.